Some of the quizzes or tests in your course may show you that you need to use a program called Respondus LockDown Browser. First of all, we need to explain that it is a browser, meaning it's the program on your computer used to access the internet. For example, how do you get to your Moodle course? You probably used a browser, maybe you used Internet Explorer, or maybe you used one of our favorites, Google Chrome. In any case, that is the program you had to use. With LockDown Browser, it is what you will need to use, but only for the tests and quizzes in Moodle that require you to use LockDown Browser. How will you know if it's required? First, it will appear in the title of the quiz or test in Moodle, and when you click on it, it will tell you that you will need to use LockDown Browser. The reason that you are being required to use Respondus LockDown Browser is because it limits students from using computer programs and applications, the internet, or other means on their computer to search for answers during a test or exam. This is a benefit to you so that you know that you and your peers all have an equal playing field without the possibility of using the computer to get answers. When you are ready to take the quiz or test, you will use this browser instead of the internet browser you would normally use to access Moodle. When you use it, it will prompt you to close any programs that are still open on your computer, such as Skype, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, and so forth. You also have the option to let LockDown Browser close the programs for you. Then you will be able to log into Moodle with the browser and take the exam. You will not be allowed to use other computer programs or exit the browser until you have completed the exam. In a little bit, I'm going to walk you through the quick process of downloading the LockDown browser, but first you need to be assured that this is a safe program to use on your computer. In this day and age, it's important to exercise caution when installing programs, but in this case, Stanley Community College has paid for the rights for SCC students to use this completely safe program. It will only be installing the LockDown browser and no other extra programs. Also, please don't wait until the last minute to install this browser. It is important to be prepared ahead of time before taking your exam. Some instructors may even provide a practice exam to ensure you are set up and familiar with using the program. There are some instructors who will not accept late work even if you had trouble with installing the browser because they gave you plenty of extra time to work out any issues you may have had. At the end of the walkthrough, there will be information provided on how to get help. So, let's get started with the walkthrough of installing and using Respondus LockDown Browser. In this walkthrough, I'm going to cover how to identify when Respondus LockDown Browser is required, how to install Respondus LockDown Browser, and what to do when you're ready to take your test or quiz in Respondus LockDown Browser. So I'm in a Moodle course right now as a student, and the test that requires the LockDown Browser is here, and it already does state that it's requiring Respondus LockDown Browser. Some students might also see a webcam required as well. That's another program added to this, but if it only says requires LockDown Browser, that's the only thing you have to do for this. When I click on it, it doesn't allow me to take the quiz or the test. It tells me that I do need to use the LockDown Browser. If I already have it installed on my computer, all I would do is close this window, open up LockDown Browser, and go to take my test. If this is your first time, you're going to need to install the LockDown Browser. The link to install Respondus LockDown Browser is right there on the page where you clicked on your quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It will bring up the download page, and all you have to do is click Install Now. And it is going to ask me if I want to save the file, and I'm going to do that. And some browsers have different areas that they're prompting you to download the file, so you might want to look for that. And right here for Mozilla Firefox is where I would see that it was downloaded, but I'm going to show you where you can go to locate that file on your computer regardless of the browser that you're using. I'm going to click Finish. The next thing you're going to want to do is look for the file that you just downloaded from that install window. I usually like to go to File Explorer with a little folder to look for my files, or you can search my computer or this PC, and wherever you go to look for your folder. So here's the downloads folder, and when I search by date, I have the LockDown browser file right here, and all I need to do is double click it to start installing the application. I'm going to click yes for it to allow it to install. And I just go through the process. I allow English to be the language. And I just wait for it to install with these different windows. I'm going to accept the terms of the license agreement. And then I'm going to click on next. And now it will let you know when it's complete and that it was successfully installed. So you click finish. And now you will notice you do have Respondus LockDown browser on the desktop of your computer. If you have a lot of files on your desktop, it might take a moment for you to locate that browser. But now when you are ready to take your exam that requires LockDown browser, instead of going to Explorer or Chrome, you would go ahead and double click on the Respondus LockDown browser. And I have the program Microsoft Link running at the moment, so it's actually prompting me to close that program. It might ask you to do several programs if you have multiple ones open right now, such as PowerPoint or other Office products. I'm going to let Respondus LockDown browser close the program for me, so I'm going to click yes. It's the same thing for this program. So it actually forced me to close out my screen recording program, so I had to go to another computer to finish showing you this walkthrough. So I'm on my laptop now, and it's using Respondus LockDown browser, and it's bringing me directly to the Stanley Community College Moodle login page. So I'm going to log in. And it looks just like regular Moodle. You'll notice that the browser does look a bit different now. I'll go to the class, and I have the option to click on the test, and the difference is now it is allowing me to take the quiz because I'm using the LockDown browser to take it. So you would just go ahead and take your quiz the way you normally would, and you would start your attempt. And if you're in the middle of your attempt and you decide you want to try to close it, it's going to warn you about this, that you did exit early. It will warn your instructor that you exited early. So you do want to be prepared to go ahead and take the full exam when you start your attempt. So I'm going to return to the exam and finish this attempt. And I'm going to submit all my answers, just like I normally would in Moodle. And it will give me a review if that's the way the test was set up, and I'll finish review. And now that the attempt has been completed, you can go ahead and close out Respondus LockDown browser, or you could just log out here. So that's all there is to it, and you can go back and do your regular coursework in the regular browser. Respondus LockDown browser is only for taking those tests and quizzes that do require the LockDown browser. As stated earlier, please don't wait to install the browser if you know you will be required to use it. Also, if possible, please contact your instructor if you have any questions. If you need technical support or help with any of this process, please ask for help right away. Just click on Technical Support on the Stanley Community College website. Next, click on Create a New Ticket. There will be some areas you will need to fill out when submitting a ticket. please make sure to select Moodle/LMS department, and your request regarding LockDown Browser will go to the area that helps specifically with LockDown Browser. When submitting a ticket, please be specific regarding the issue you are having. If you say it won't work, most likely you will be asked questions about the details of what exactly wasn't working. Were you having trouble downloading the install file? Were you having trouble during the install process? Did you have trouble opening the browser once it was installed? Most likely you will not encounter these issues, but this helps you understand the type of information to provide so that you can get the help right away that you need. We hope this video aided you in understanding and use of Respondus Lockdown Browser. All the best to you in your academic endeavors at Stanley Community College.